Hey YouTube. It's been a long time. Too long, I feel like, since I've been able to give an update. Um but it's hard, with the lawsuit and everything. It's just and with everything. I mean, travel and advocacy and being busy and all of that. But it's definitely time. So here I am. Um yeah, so I suppose the big news, for those of you who don't also follow me on X, is that I am pregnant. There aren't really words um, to describe, I guess, the feelings and the magnitude and everything of it. Um, I'm 25 weeks now and 1 day, um, and I've known since I was about 6 weeks, but I kept it secret, for a long time because of a lot of reasons. I mean, you're supposed to wait a little while so that just in case, Um, but I wasn't sure, of anything. I suppose that's the whole thing. I truly didn't know the status of my fertility, and there was no one to tell me. And there's a lot of scariness with not knowing. I find that myself and other people will even choose bad things in general, because they're things that are familiar and things that we know. Um, it's scary not to know, but it's a miracle too. And I've allowed myself to be comfortable with things that I thought were bad, but they weren't bad. They were just new, right? Like certain forms of kindness and all of that. Yeah. So I guess I can sort of just explain what happened, as far as I know, anyway. Um, I I finally found a doctor who was really willing to work with me, which is just incredible. Like I was so grateful. I am still grateful. That like blessing is like indescribable. Um, and yeah, uh I eventually started synthetic progesterone and estrogen in the form of just regular birth control because it was going to take a while to get like normal hormone levels and blah 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 to get like bioidentical hormones. But yeah, basically shortly after starting the birth control, I ended up getting pregnant, which is not usually the thing that happens. And I wasn't trying to prevent pregnancy. I was trying to feel better, and it's interesting. I did sort of start to feel better right away, but I don't know if that was like from pregnancy or from having hormone adjustment. But I mean, even just small things like things that I had become used to that I didn't realize were a discomfort, like, um, I guess skip ahead if you don't want to hear TMI or whatever. But like the dryness, obviously, the vaginal dryness is noticeable during like activities that involve the vagina, right? But I did notice that I had relief from like just walking around. Like there was a sudden lack of like dry sandpaper in between my legs. That I don't know. It's really strange. Like things that you don't know aren't normal. You know. Especially I don't know if you start transition in a not completely adult body. Um, like there are some things that I seem to have just accepted as like part of growing up that aren't part of growing up. You know what I mean? Like, extreme vaginal atrophy, like anyway. Yeah, so, uh and then anyway, I started having like some cramps. Um that were not fun. But also, like, my period is not normal at this point, and it hasn't been since it started, I guess. It was normal at like 13 or 14 when I had it. And then, the thing happened and I stopped eating. And yeah, so, that wasn't incredibly alarming. But I brought it up to my doctor and he asked me if I could possibly be pregnant. And I remember that I laughed. Um, I laughed because I thought it was ridiculous and impossible, and I was sad, and I didn't know what to say. Uh, but I told him that that couldn't be. But then I got some pregnancy tests anyway, and took them, and I got the kind that just did like the line, and I got the one that actually like said words, like a digital one too, and yeah, I mean, so many emotions. I ended up having to quit psychiatric and other medicine, like in relation to pain, um, for the baby's health. And that's been hard, but a worthy sacrifice. Um, I guess I would like to throw out that I did go to GenSpect and the AAP meeting while pregnant and knowing I was pregnant and unmedicated, and I managed to stay out of drama and not comment on anything or get too carried away. So yeah, I mean, on that note, I'm quite proud. I think I was catastrophizing. I was afraid of my own emotions, or that I might have such and such emotion and not be able to control it. And but I've just been able to cope. I've been able to actually deploy the DBT skills I've been given. Yeah, and I mean, self-soothe and emotionally regulate. I mean, I'm certainly not saying it hasn't been hard. um but I don't know, worthy, I suppose, of doing it. Yeah, I was very worried at the beginning, uh that I shouldn't, go through with this. I thought that, the baby was going to be made out of like bad material, just because of what happened. But I stuck with it, and I've gotten lots of ultrasounds because it's, a high risk pregnancy and all of that. I have hormone imbalance, and a couple other things. But the baby looks healthy, and he's a boy, and he looks healthy. I mean, that just blows my mind. It, that something good could come from this, from me. You know, I have like, the results of testosterone, the atrophy. I have to get a scheduled C-section because of that, and because um since I started when I was, young and not finished growing because of the years of anorexia. It just doesn't seem like his head would even fit through my hip bones, even if the atrophy issue could be reversed with like estrogen or progesterone or something. I'm not happy about being forced into a position, sort of trusting doctors. An extreme level of trust. That involves a scalpel. Again, um, but this isn't some sort of, it's not a cosmetic surgery. I'm not treating like a medical condition that can't be verified. Like I do actually like have a baby in there. Um and I'm not, removing parts of myself, parts of my body that I'll never get back. I'm removing a baby that I'll get to hold and have, not throw away and never see again. So it's different. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to hold him and see him and touch him, and I'm afraid of it too. I didn't know about my fertility, and I still don't know anything. I don't know why birth control made me get pregnant. I don't know what the C-section and what recovery is going to be like. I don't know if I have to, but I do know now, you know, um, the results of the mastectomy. I didn't understand that when I was, a young person and on. I didn't want to have kids. I mean, like if like a 16 or 17-year-old does want to have a baby, like I think that's more of a red flag. You know, um, I had no framework for which to even try to conceptualize what I was giving up. I I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that I did or didn't want it. I didn't know, but I understand now, and I'm going to understand more soon. I know that a lot of women bottle feed, or they can't breastfeed for one reason or another, but I just, it's different. It's, I don't even get to try. There's not a chance. I don't even get to, for him to try to latch or anything like that. Uh, and my chest is numb, so I won't feel him, and he won't feel my skin and my body the way it was and the way it should be. My chest is flat and has scars, and my nipples are in the wrong spot, and they're like tatters, and I have hair. I don't want this to just be a depressing video, but it's depressing. um and I don't have the energy to try to console other people about my own grief and stuff anymore. It just needs to be out there, and people, I know other little girls and young women who are vulnerable and who are mentally suffering, probably won't get what I didn't get either. But I'm hoping they can get the emotions, and what I'm talking about, even if you don't understand the subject content. I hope that these emotions can be conveyed. It's horrible to do irreversible things, regrettable and tragic things to your body, trying to heal mental pain. I I too, I used to believe that physical pain, like what testosterone did and this mastectomy and all of that could never surmount to the emotional pain I was feeling as a teenager, but it actually can. Um, you know, I'm not saying I wasn't in pain because I was, but I just didn't know how to cope. You know what I mean? And then the wrong tools were put in my hands with which to soothe the pain. You know what I mean? On a lighter note, some nice women from a breastfeeding group not terribly far away from me offered to meet with me and share breast milk with me because they understand the situation and want to help. And I think that would be really good and nice, not only for my son because, health reasons, but, mom friends, I suppose. Um, they they've apparently helped other mastectomy women, like usually cancer and stuff. But so it sounds like a good group of people. Yeah, I guess there's not much else to say. Um, yeah, I hope the vibe of this video isn't too bad. Truly, I'm thrilled and amazed, but it's all of the emotions in tandem and equilibrium and all of that, up and down. Um, yeah, thank you for listening.